Okay.
Oh my god, so stressed.
It's so weird.
Okay.
Yeah.
Priscilla Patrick.
Yes. Carrie and Etienne.
Yeah, you're famous in the whole country of Malaysia for two things. We'll talk about your tsunami, that you had tsunami
Experience,
survivor,
yeah.
yes, later. So first of all, we'll talk about your voice.
Oh.
Because everybody in the country knows your voice,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Do you want
Yes.
to talk about that?
Sure, sure. Well, my career and my life changed when I joined broadcasting. And when I joined radio, after being a computer programmer, it was a completely different ball game for me. And everything that I learned on radio, I learned on the job. And I started off as a radio announcer with a rock station and a talk radio station. And then they asked me to begin a traffic station. It was never done in Malaysia before. And basically someone was going to monitor the roads in the country to tell people what's happening ahead of them. Of course, this was brand new back in the 90s, late 90s. And
No
it was
Google Maps.
No Google Maps, and not even Google. I was on Yahoo. You know, I was Yahooing. Yeah. They told me to go on Yahoo Kiss FM in London and see how they do the traffic reports. And so we kept up with times and technology, from using map books to enhance. And then maybe about 8 years later, Google came on. I think about 2005.
Yeah.
And then that made life a little bit more easier. By then I had touched base with all the police departments for traffic in different states, touched base with all the highways, and they also started having CCTV cameras, so we could actually access and see, and therefore the content of the traffic reports got enhanced because we were able to know that there's an accident and we can immediately divert traffic out. So that was something brand new in the early 2000s, in the millennium. It
Yes,
blew.
not only saying like, oh, you're in the middle of the traffic, good luck,
No.
but you were like
Yes.
finding solutions and
Exactly,
proposing.
yeah, because audience would call me and they'll screw me up. Don't tell me something that I already know. I'm sitting in the crowd. Tell me what roads to take. So I would actually drive around in the nights, like about 2 in the morning, to familiarize myself with the roads in Kuala Lumpur because there was no Google Maps. And so when I go on air and I say, yeah, on this road you got to turn right, and when you see this supermarket, hang a left and you'll avoid the congestion on the other side. So people saw the value in the traffic reports, and this, because the frequency of the traffic reports were like in the mornings, it's during breakfast. During the breakfast show we call it the morning drive, and in the evening drive, which is when people are coming back. So you got 6 to 10 when people are going to work and going to school, sending the kids, and 4 to 8 when people are coming back home, picking up the kids. That's when it's the crunch hour. So, and I was on the main broadcaster of the country, Astro, and they had about 9 radio stations, and I was bilingual, so I spoke English and Malay, and therefore at these hours I was in 6 radio stations, minusing the Tamil and Chinese stations, and that's from there it became a household name. And so I thank the audience for keeping me on track all the time, because it was for them that I would wake up at 4:45 and then get into work by 6 and start reporting traffic, because if they didn't keep me on my feet, I wouldn't have been able to when it rains at 4 in the morning, you can't turn around and snuggle on your pillow and go to bed. You're thinking like, oh my God, how are these people going to get to work? So I need to come in, and and that became that. Actually, I didn't do much. I mean, I did what I had to do, but I feel it was the audience that took me and put me where I was. The listeners. They made me a priority in their lives, and that's how the name became a household name.
And for how long time did you do this job?
24 years.
24 years. So
Yeah.
you're quite famous. But people only know your voice, or do they know your face?
I kept my face like a secret after I discovered everybody knew what I sounded like. Like I couldn't call Pizza Hut and order a pizza.
Yes.
They would know I was living there, and so that was a bit scary. And then of course you had the fans. Some would come and wait outside the office, the broadcasting studio. Yeah, they would. The thing is, you don't want to piss them off, so you talk to them nicely, and of course there's emails and stuff like that. But not like major fans. But the odd ones. I mean, who? You're a traffic reporter. How can you possibly have fans? I'm not like a famous radio announcer, So, but once again, it was the audience that
Yeah, but
shaped me that
after
way.
this you did some voice character in the video games and...
Yes, so over the years, of course, when I started on radio and then the discovery of this different kind of voice, which was not normal in the industry, they noted me as being husky, a little bit deep, hoarse a bit, so I was doing a lot of radio commercials, more favorably on perfume ads, coffee ads, and then, you know, TV commercials, and of course in the last 5 years, gaming as well, gaming characters.
That's crazy.
Yeah, a little gift from God, just use it wisely, I guess.
When you were telling us that you were like the first woman info traffic speaker,
Yeah.
what I remember the most is that you say that you went to the police station to tell them, okay, I'm gonna do that now. And they were like, what?
Yeah.
What do you want?
Yeah.
And then you asked for helicopters and you went on the helicopters.
Yes, I did.
Like,
I think for me, if I see something and I want it, I will keep going out to get it until I'm told no.
Okay.
You know? So when I first went to the police station to tell them, hey, I'm so and so from the Astro Broadcasting Company, and they're like, who? Go, you know. And then I had to tell my bosses, and so then we called for a meeting, and they said, listen, this has never been done before. We're doing it. We need your cooperation, your help. We're here to help you. And like this started in 97, 98. I think it was 2015 that we went on the
Yeah, it's
training.
crazy. You bring something really new in
Yeah,
Malaysia.
yeah. I was actually during my travels, I was in Vegas and I saw the police helicopter landing on the broadcasting station, on a building, and I was like, hey, why can't we do this in Malaysia?
I want to do this.
Yeah, I want to do this. So, you know, I had to find a way where it would monetize all agencies involved. My company, at the time I was with the broadcasting and print company called Star Radio Group. By then I'd already moved. And because flying in Kuala Lumpur is not possible, it's a no-fly zone because it's a city, as it is in every country.
Yeah.
You can only have like the military or the police helicopters, so I had to go straight to them. And then I had to approach our national oil and gas company, Petronas, and together the three of us, my broadcasting company, the police and the oil and gas company, we worked together, and one gave fuel, I gave credits, and we were flying for 2 years, every Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays. And things changed because having a police presence in the sky during peak hours stopped all the unwanted crime like snatch theft, kidnapping if there is, or it's not really happening much in Malaysia, but you know, you have the odd 1 or 2 cases, but just having the police presence actually deterred a lot of crime just by hovering. Yeah,
it's crazy.
do you think that being a woman was, to set up everything, was more difficult than if you're being a man in Malaysia particularly?
yeah.
Do you think like sometimes you were not like taking like in serious because you were a woman?
No, I mean, for me, I didn't look at it from that point of view, but when someone did not take me serious, I would think like, are you stupid? You know, I mean, I didn't go down the line of I'm a woman and you're a man, but I noticed it happening because in the industry, police are all generally male.
Yeah.
And I'm here, the only non-Muslim
Woman.
English-speaking female, so basically, I got their attention just by showing up. You know, just by being there, like, who is this? You know, and then when when they started to see the effectiveness of the traffic reports, and they said, hey, you know, finally someone, maybe a company is doing this with someone who actually gives a shit. Sorry, but yeah, someone who cares. And so and I think it was passion driven because when I saw the fact that no one was interested in doing traffic, half the country thought I was reporting weather before they finally thought, oh, it's traffic. So some people think, oh, if you're not a radio announcer or a DJ, who are you? But then I changed the ball game because the way I presented it, I was sarcastic on radio, I scolded people on radio, I got their attention basically, and so they started listening, and which was putting color on radio. Because it's all about audio, isn't it? Yeah.
You break the rules. Imagine.
Yeah, you break. That's.
So many, I think. That was one of the first ones, but then.
I mean, until someone tells me no, but keep trying. You know, I think that's logic. I think so. Like in my world, I know. Yeah, got me this far. Yeah.
Okay, so this was about your professional career, and then due to this, you travel a lot around the world. How many countries did you visit?
How many continents can we say?
Oh yeah, of course.
Easy, this one. All of them.
How many continents in the world? Okay, I did all of
Seven.
them.
Okay,
Yeah,
7.
Yeah, I managed to clock in the 7. I mean, there wasn't, when I started, again, I was at work while I just got the job in radio, and I was yahooing about the full moon because I have this passion about astronomy. And so I saw this full moon party in Thailand. I was like, what is this? And you know, in 2 weeks' time, I applied for leave, and I went and I saw white people like yourselves with backpacks. And I said, hey, you know, where are you going? How long are you traveling for? Hey, how you doing, mate? Yeah, I'm traveling for 6 months. I just quit my job. And I'm like, really? In Malaysia, we don't quit our job, you know? We work till we die. And I eventually, after one full moon party in 1997, I think till 2001, I clocked in 16 full moon parties for a year, once every 3 months.
No way!
Yeah. I loved it. I enjoyed the rave music. And then from there, it just got bigger and bigger. And then Laos, Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia. You know, and when Southeast Asia was done, I was like, India. And then it just kept going bigger and bigger. Yeah,
Everywhere.
and I didn't have any goals or bucket. I do not believe in bucket lists, because what if you kick the bucket before the bucket list is completed?
Yeah.
So I live on the moment. If I feel like I'm going to go somewhere, I'm going to do it. And you know, after traveling for like 5 years, 6 years, I had the liberty of asking myself, so Pris, where do you want to go? Do you want winter, summer, beach, mountain?
Do you know what you want?
Yeah.
When traveling?
Yeah, of course.
Summer,
As you, I guess, as more life experiences you gain, as you live, you get to know yourself better.
Yeah.
And you will not do something you don't enjoy. Or you will eat something you don't like.
Yeah, but when you are young, you try something, and sometimes
it
you
fails.
don't like it. But
exactly.
After experience,
And so then you learn to just perfectionize, or rather try to perfectionize to your liking, what you like. And so that's how the circle spread. And then I think I was in Bhutan in 2017, and I was looking at my passport. It was expiring in May 2018, and I was flipping through, and I was like, oh, I've got Antarctic on it, I've got the Arctic on it, I've got Africa, Central America, South America. And I said the only last continent I hadn't done was Australia. Now the thing about the Malaysian passport is, every 5 years, you have to change it. And whether you've used it once or 15 times, you have to change it. So as I was flipping through, I was like, if I did this before May 2018, or sorry, my passport was expiring in November, so I had to change my passport 6 months prior. So if I did it before May, I would have 7 continents in that passport. I mean, to me, it was a personal achievement.
Yeah.
And so I did it, and I told myself, well, we're not going to do normal Sydney, Perth, and what everybody does. And so I overlanded with an overlanding company from Darwin to Melbourne, crossing through the desert, Alice Springs, and you know.
Nice.
Yeah.
And also, do you have an anecdote, so a small story you want to tell us
you may have
about
funny
your
story
travel?
about
a funny and small one.
I've got a funny one. I was in Thailand, and I actually had a friend with me traveling on that trip, and I saw this lady cleaning the chalet. And this was like one of my first few trips, and she looked Malaysian. So I started talking to her in Malay, in the Malay language. I said, hey, selamat pagi, and my friend was like, Pris. I said, yeah, I got this. And, you know, and I said, hey, you know, I was trying to tell her, like, you know, when you're free, we're going to leave, if you could come and clean our chalet. And she's like, Pris. I said, dude, I got this. And then she just said, Pris, she's Thai, she doesn't speak Malay. And I was like, Kap kun ka. Yeah.
Nice.
Sometimes you forget where you are, and
Yes.
you know how when you wake up suddenly you're like,
Oh.
okay, yeah, I'm in Uganda, but this looks different. Yeah.
Is there something that amazed you a lot? Because you often talk about the Antarctic cruise.
Yes. When I have to rewind this story, because what got me to the Antarctic which happened in 2015, but prior to that in 2013, I was curious about the polar bears and the northern lights, the aurora. And so when I checked it out, there were 7 countries in the Arctic Circle that shared this, and I chose Alaska. It cheapest to go through. It was like 4,000 US plus for internal flights, meals, drinks, and all your permits and stuff like that. So after experiencing that, my expedition leader, Lauren, he said that he might be doing the Antarctic, and I said, oh, Lauren, I can't afford the Antarctic, no way. And that thought never even sat in my head, absolutely no way. 2014, I went to Africa, and I think that touched me a lot, because I hiked up in Uganda to go and sit with the gorillas, the silverback, and I sat with a family of 2 male silverbacks, 2 females, and 1 kid. And that whole 4-hour experience, as I was tracking down, I could see Congo. My phone beeped and said, well, your SMS says, welcome to Congo, your rates of this, and I looked at him and I was like, you crazy woman, you just sat next to the gorillas, where do you want to go next? I was tracking down and I said, Antarctic. And I said, what did you say? And I said, yes, Antarctic. And I scare myself, because if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. So I got back to Malaysia and I emailed Lauren and I said, hey, this Antarctic thing, is it really happening? He says, yeah, 2015, December, we're going. Do you want to go? And I said, how much is it? He says, it's about 12,000 US back then. I'm sure now it's a lot more. Yeah. And I said, well, if I did the Antarctic, would I be the first of your clients to have done the North and the South, the Arctic and the Antarctic? And he goes, yeah. And I said, do I get a discount? And he gave me 1,000 USD off. And that was inspiring. And so, and then I had to speak to my boss at work. I had to tell her that, I'm going to go to the Antarctic, but I need time off for this. So I'm not going to take leave for the 11 months. But I need to tell HR that, because you've got to clear your leave in some way. So she said, send me an email, sent to HR, sent to her, got the green light, spoke to my crew, managed their leave so that they would be around when I'm away for 5 weeks. And the trip was 21 days on the Antarctic. But because it was so far, I said, there's no way I'm going to do just one holiday. And me being me, I created an adventure within the adventure. So I decided to do the Iguazu Falls again, but this time from the Argentine side. I did it from Brazil the last time. So I got into Buenos Aires, I got my way to Iguazu, and then took a bus to the east, to the west, and came down, trekked through Chile, and eventually got to Patagonia. And 2 days before meeting the crew, I'm in Ushuaia, met the crew, and got to know each other. Next day we're on the boat. These 9 people were my family for the next 21 days. And we had everyone on board from every continent except the African continent. Yeah.
It's not bad.
Yeah. So, and that experience, I remember when I came back coming back from that trip, I landed in KLI and I had tears running down my cheeks, and I was like, oh my God, it's tar roads and cars, and I told myself, the 2 things that I needed to do was visit my family, my parents, and go to work. I didn't have to see my friends just yet. So after 3 weeks, they were calling me and like, yo, we need to know the story, And so finally I said, okay, what I miss most from the Antarctic is the silence. Okay. And the animals that you see in the Antarctic will be your albatross, which is the biggest bird. And then you've got all sorts of the whales, the humpbacks, the seals. And it came to a point, I must admit, that I started, people at home, their faces were disappearing. Like I didn't even miss my family. I didn't think of them. The first 5 days was difficult because I was horizontal. I was seasick. And it's a sailboat. It's not your Nat Geo big boat. It's a sailboat. And we were like leaning 45 degrees for 5 days. And finally, after the 5th day, we were straight up, and now you're on the Antarctic, and crossing the Drake Passage was that 5 days. Only when I was on the boat, and you're reading all the books that they have, and you go like, the Drake Passage, the world's most dangerous passage. Okay, while I'm on it, I've discovered it was the world's most dangerous passage. I guess sometimes when you don't do too much research, you learn how to deal with things as it happens. And that's exactly what had happened. And all of us are still in touch. We call ourselves the Antarctic family.
Crazy.
Yeah, we still drop by jokes once in a while. We still have the same group chat. We still, when there's a funny joke on Antarctic, we all like get together and, hey guys, time for a reunion. Yeah, 2015. So in 2 years, it's going to be 10 years. just feels quite, everything in my life feels recent. I don't know why.
Because you keep sharing it, maybe.
Yeah,
No?
and I think that
That's why
talking
we're
about...
here too.
Yeah, that is true,
Yeah.
yeah. And thanks guys for coming to Cosmic Campus. Brilliant to meet you guys. Yeah, so Antarctic was probably the most outstanding trip, but mentally I had to take that out and not compartmentalize it with the other trips. I had to put it out. And so now I know that there's also I have this option in my life that when I see something that is so outstanding, I have this capability to take it and put it in a different box, while the other 73 countries sit in a different box with the other 6 continents. Yeah.
Nice.
So many
Yeah.
achievements.
Yeah.
We are so far from it.
Yeah.
But
We're
you
just
see,
beginning.
but that's the thing, I didn't have a goal.
Yeah.
I didn't have a list. I just went where I felt like going. And most of the time I love winter. So I always went to winter countries. And then when I learned, oh, you know, the southern hemisphere is winter in June, July, I'm like, great, you know, I can play with South America, Australia, New Zealand, if I wanted the chill, you know, the cold countries. And then December comes and I can go up to Europe. And so, yeah, I had that option of looking at life in a different perspective. Yeah.
So you worked for 25 years at the radio,
Yeah.
almost, so you traveled the same amount of time.
Yeah, yeah.
But today we're here, we're not in KL,
No, we're not.
we are not in a trip, we're in Malaysia, we're on a
Yeah.
campsite on the east coast.
Yeah.
What happened? Why are you here?
Okay. So 2019 was my last trip abroad. I did Africa. I overlanded Zimbabwe, Zambia, Malawi, Tanzania and Zanzibar. And then in March, I was supposed to go to New York. I wanted to confirm whether this city that doesn't sleep really stays open.
Like you.
And yeah, the game plan was to sit in a bar from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. and see if it doesn't. You know? But then Donald Trump shut down the US, I think, on the 16th. My flight was on the 18th, 17th. We went in a lockdown. Malaysia went into lockdown. I had to go and see KLM. They said, you know, no problem. Postpone your flight. And December came along, and I sat down. And by then we were working from home, and I was telling myself, this COVID thing is not going to end this year. It's not going to end next year. It's going to take at least 2 to 3 years. And then I said, you know, the human behavior is another thing to deal with. The entire world has been locked up. The minute the doors are open, everyone wants to go out there. And in the meantime, so many businesses has been shut down. So many people lost money. So prices of things are going to go up. Flights are going to go up. Hotels are going to go up. I said, Pris, if you want to go somewhere, snap your laptop on, let's pick a country. Where you want to go? Bolivia? Okay, let's watch a video. So I did that. And then I told myself, why don't you take a break? You of all people should not say I-M-I-S-S-T-R-A-V-E-L-L-I-N-G. And I haven't said it. Okay. Because I have no right. I've done the 7 continents, 70 odd countries. Chill. So I said, but I need a place to play. So I said, I'll open a campsite. And I told myself 4 years, I won't go anywhere. 4 years I will sit still. December 31st I will complete that 4 years. I can't believe I've done it. Or I'm about to finish doing it. I can't believe I've been so disciplined. I've not even taken a flight to Langkawi or Penang. I've just been here. I opened this campsite. The idea came in 2020. 21 I activated it. 22 we opened. 23 you guys are here.
That's crazy. So fast.
I mean,
flies.
dreams are for free. Dream, but make it real.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
And you often ask us, how is it to traveling now? Are you scared about traveling post-COVID? Because it will be different than what you knew before.
So these are things I can't change. So I've been telling myself mentally, I said, you know, be prepared for half of China opening the plane when they, you know, they take off or when they're coming for landing. Be prepared for bad behavior on the aircraft. Be prepared of people jumping queue in the immigration counter. So I'm prepping myself, and I'm saying like, okay, it's definitely not going to happen. It's not going to be like it was in the full moon party. The full moon party that I experienced in '97, it's not what it is today. So this is also going to change. So I'm just mentally telling myself, yeah, expect to deal with holes. Yeah. And but I'm so excited about traveling. Yeah, so excited about.
What is your next trip?
Oh my God! So that's happening like 10 days after the year begins in 2024. It will be a winter country. It will be the pole, the North Pole.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I told myself it has to be mind-blowing, it has to be out of this world, it has to be a place that no one would go to. Same thing I did on my 10th anniversary of traveling, 2008. I said, I got to celebrate the 10 years. I should go to places where nobody would go, and I chose Madagascar. When I told everyone I was going to Madagascar, everyone, oh, the movie, and I had not seen the movie. So of course when I went and then I saw the movie a bit, I said, nah, not the same, but
No.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think that freedom that I built for myself, without any financial aid, with a lot of sacrifices. I'm not a shopper, I don't spend. I drove my car for 20 years. Finally it died, I changed it, I bought a second-hand car. I don't have new clothes. I keep it, I'm single, I don't have kids. My responsibility is only to my parents and my family. And the rest is that freedom. That freedom that you have, that I created for myself. But that's the one that turns me on, keeps me ticking, keeps me waking up to catch the sunrise. Yeah.
So your freedom drove you here? Why here? Why this campsite?
Oh, that's another story. So this campsite, I found it by chance after the 2004 tsunami. And I wanted, let me see, it happened on the 26th of December. I got back on the 28th or 29th. I went back to work on the 5th, and my boss said, what are you doing at work? I said, I didn't apply for leave. He said, no. Yeah. So, and then I took time off the following month, and I said, I have to get back into the ocean before that whole incident scares me and keeps me away from the ocean. So I came back, and I was with a friend, two friends, and we were driving, and we saw this place, and it was pretty run down, and we said, yeah, we'll figure it out here, you know. And in the morning we got into the water and made peace. This is not the Indian Ocean, this is the South China Sea.
How long time after the tsunami?
About a month.
Crazy.
1 month after you were like swimming.
Yeah, in here. Yeah.
In here, and we can say that here it's not the flattest sea
No,
we can see.
No,
it's
this is the
like
South China Sea,
waves and
yeah.
currents, and
Yeah.
even me, I don't swim here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I just had to go in, dip myself, sit inside there up to this high, dip my head in, and yeah, it's not the ocean's fault. It's just nature, you know. And
It's crazy how you can deal with that.
I mean, if you really want a handbag, you'll buy it, no? If you really want a bike, you'll buy it, no?
Yeah.
Same thing. It's how much what you would do if you want that, and it means getting back in the water. Yeah, but it didn't stop there. I went and got my diver's license, and then 3 years later, I dived with the great whites in South Africa in a cage. Just keep going. Just keep fucking going.
One day, one fear.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
And the more you say you have a fear, you're acknowledging it.
Yeah.
Subconsciously, your mind is barricading yourself. I'm afraid of the dark. Every light situation, you'll be afraid. I'm afraid of snakes. Everything that looks like a snake will scare you. But if you look at it from a different point of view, and you acknowledge that fear, it's part of you. It doesn't control you. Changes the ball game completely. I used to be shit scared of dark. You know, growing up at home, and parents that don't go out play in the dark, you know. But then when I came out, like, actually, when you look up, there's another world out there with the stars, and that's when life changed, and that's when my perception of life also changed a bit.
And now you can spend all the night looking
Yeah.
at the stars.
Until the sun comes out,
On
then
the
I go
dark.
back and sleep. Yeah, just this morning I did a 1.5 hour time lapse from about 5:45 a.m. with the moon going up and then the sun rising. It's spectacular.
Do you feel that since the tsunami you enjoy more the little things?
Oh, for sure. For sure. Every sunrise, every moonrise, every shooting star. I'm always thanking God for my eyes, for my hands, my legs, my willpower, my strength, my mental strength. Because when you live a life as I'm living in solitude, alone, I don't have a partner, I don't have children, you have you. You can be your greatest fear, your greatest demon, but your best adventure as well. So if you want to spend it worrying and being scared, then live that life. But if you want to adventure, you got to go out into the unknown. So I crave for the unknown. I love the unknown because I know me. I know how I will deal with it, you know. But I don't know what's out there. But let's just go, you know. And like Africa, my favorite continent, sleeping in the national parks and opening the zip and as a hippo, you're like, okay, you know, that experience was another mind-blowing experience. Not for the full moon, I wouldn't have recognized the hippo. And as after she grazed and walked away, I came out of my tent and I marked my territory and peed around my tent.
No way!
Yeah, TIA, this is Africa. Hey, and I'm in their grounds, you know. They go according to sense, so, and we are animals, we're the intelligent ones, so once in a while you gotta behave like an animal. Yeah.
Now we've come to our last speaker for this forum. Our last speaker had a problem this morning. Should she wear light black or dark black? She's the voice that tells us whether we're going to take an hour to get home or more than an hour. She actually was a normal radio DJ right in the beginning, but she's now become the radio traffic report icon. She may look like a gangster sister, but she's actually got a very big heart. I was most impressed and surprised when she actually agreed to join my Relay for Life Celebrity Lab and came along and did the walk, and I was really, really impressed. That was to raise funds for the National Cancer Society. When I first heard that she was caught in the tsunami in Sri Lanka and survived, I could not believe it. But today, Priscilla Patrick is here to tell her story. Priscilla? She's going to tell it from sitting down, right? Because she normally doesn't show her face, right?
Good morning, distinguished guests, and welcome to Helping Angels Speaker Congress. My name is Priscilla Patrick, and I am the bearer of bad news every morning and evenings when you're traversing between work, home, and play, telling you what roads not to take, even though you're probably already on it, or telling you what's the best route to take or not to take. Now that y'all know what I do for a living, well, here's what inspires me to wake up at 4:45 every morning. Traveling. I've been backpacking this beautiful globe that we share and live in for the last 16 years, and God willing, I have no intentions of stopping ever. If there's a place on earth that's going to make me curious after reading about it or hearing about it from friends or from Nat Geo Discovery, then I'm going there eventually. From the tigers in Kanchanaburi, to the Komodo dragons in Indonesia, to paragliding with eagles in Nepal, to the socialism smiles in Cuba, to the majestic great whites in Cape Town, to the Himalayan range in India, and to the 17-hour boat ride on the Ariwadi River heading to Mandalay. One day, I saw the ocean rise to an astounding height in Sri Lanka, the home of my descendants. It blocked daylight while racing towards me, sounding like a 747 right above. There wasn't time to say or do anything because the brain is still trying to comprehend what the eyes is telling it, and during all that, the feet is ignored, so you're literally frozen and dumbfounded. Within a minute, nails from the wooden flooring of the chalet were popping out, while the bed and cupboard simply crumbled to pieces. Then the ocean did its thing, like a washing machine does in a hot wash tumble, and mind you, it was a long way up. That was never going to happen. 40 seconds after battling those spins and watching your clothes rip off from you while you're holding your breath, realization wanders in sheepishly. Then denial hangs closely. Then reality sinks in, but then denial tries again to invade, but now fear has moved in because you finally understand the term catch-22 and what it really means. You breathe, you die. You don't breathe, you die. So while you're enveloped and sealed in fear, acceptance becomes a battle. Your eyes close automatically, and everything beautiful and important to you flashes by. Then, without a choice, you surrender, and you breathe water. That day, it was known somewhere that it wasn't going to be my end. It was for nearly 500,000 other souls from around the globe. The impact of the 2004 Asian tsunami was so huge that everyone either knows someone or of someone who either witnessed or survived it. Today, you're one of them. On that day, I witnessed miracles and humanity of an unheard or unseen level, for me at least. There was a local that got his son to climb up and bring down a coconut for me to drink as I wandered around in shock, pain, and with open wounds. Then there was a foreigner that offered me some clothes as I had lost everything, or so I thought. Other locals and foreigners that were not involved were offering their phones, their food, their clothes, their medic supplies, and their expertise. Then about 4 hours later, a local walks up and asks my friend and I if this was still my padlocked backpack in his left hand. And I said, "Yes, how did you know and where did you find it?" He said, "In my living room, madam. And Buddha tell me it's yours," showing me a Buddha figurine clutched in his right palm. Now his home was 4 kilometers inland from where my now missing chalet used to be. Think about it. After finding a way in, my backpack still contained my now very drenched wallet, plane ticket and passport, everything I needed to get home. Later that evening, a foreigner married to a local offered us 5 survivors of various nationalities his colonial home as he headed for his in-laws. Amidst the eerie silence in the night, you noticed the lack of blaring horns of buses along the now very dark coast that was missing all its night fishing boats. The caretaker brings us 2 big plates of plain fried rice with dal. It was one of the finest meals that no money could buy, and it was one of the tastiest meals I've had. I still remember the smell of that meal, and the smells to come. The next morning, the ocean looked like nothing ever happened. Then the cries and the wailing and the stench hits you. Then you see things that only you will see for the rest of your life, every day in your mind. Out of nowhere, 4 foreign journalists on vacation gave my friend and I a ride about 30 hours later. It was an 11-hour ride that normally was 4 by road to Colombo, but this time it was through a bit of forest with truckloads of coffins passing by and white flags to signify death, at least along the first hour of the journey. But the stench follows you for miles up ahead.
We put in this video so the story you shared, because there is like an explanation about what happened.
And the tsunami.
So we will talk a little bit about it. First of all, is it difficult for you to talk about it, or is it more like a therapy? Because what is totally crazy that you've never been in therapy after what happens, right?
Yeah, no.
So is sharing kind of a therapy, or is it quite difficult?
Well, clearly, thanks to my job, I love talking. And I wouldn't think it can be therapy. I've never looked at it as therapy, but thanks for pointing that out. But what I thought after doing that video for my friend who's a cancer survivor, and then many people came up and said, "Oh my God, I didn't know this," and I realized it actually benefited people. And so I started sharing it with anyone, and I wanted people to know what to do when, and I pray to God a tsunami doesn't hit anyone I know, the world ever again, but I think it will. 280,000 people died that day. I didn't. I could spend the rest of my life wondering why I lived, or being not myself, being depressed, being fearful, being... I understand a lot of people that survived it in Thailand. Some can't even see the ocean, some can't go back. But if I did that, then I'm not living my life, you know. So I would have to do what I need to do and overcome these little obstacles. And if you don't overcome these obstacles, you're always going to be stuck at that crossroad. And you can't go to, it's like a game, you can't go to the next level. You know, so do what works for you. If it's going to give you fear, take your time, don't go back to the ocean. But if you're mad, like me, then go ahead and do it, you know. And so that's how that's, until, like I said, like, someone says no, just keep going.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So you were like really in the waves. For the first time we came and you talk about it like in a conversation, like nothing happens, you were like, oh, when I died in the tsunami, blah, 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 blah. I was like, what? One time, 2 times, I was like, hmm?
Yeah.
So
what happened?
You died.
Yeah.
For you, and you reborn.
Yeah, I think that's what happened. I think so, because actually just like a couple of months back, I was having, suddenly a new memory came back of how long I had passed out in the water. For the last 19 years, I thought maybe 10 seconds, 20 seconds, but I think it was more than maybe a minute, you know. And I don't know what happened that day, but the hand touched me here, and I didn't have a t-shirt because the t-shirt was torn. So it was hand to skin, and when I opened my eyes, I was not at the same place that I had gone down with the chalet. I was near a coconut tree. So I don't know in that 1 minute or how many minutes what happened in the water, but yeah, I know I breathed in that last 10 seconds when I was aware that, shit, I'm going to breathe. And the body takes control and you're not in control. And you breathe. And the next thing you do is you cough. And you breathe again. And so, you know, that's when I understood how drowning victims end up and how they drown. Because all my joints just curled in. I saw my hands going in, and that's it. Finish. And I don't know what happened in between. And then 2 taps, I see a coconut tree, and I hugged it. So the wave was about, you know, way higher than one of those trees. And there were like at least about 7 of them. And eventually, when I stood up, I saw this wall of water going in. And everything was in silence. I think my body was in shock. I saw a lady running with some clothes on. I saw local people hanging off a spiral staircase, used like a human chain, because the rest of the staircase was gone. And that day, one miracle took place. The second miracle was about 2 hours later. This man comes up to me and he says, "Is this your backpack?" And my friend looks at it, says, "This is your duty backpack." And I looked at it, I said, "Yeah," and it's padlocked because it had a zip. But at the bottom there's a zip, and you know, when you unzip that, you can actually access the top part. And in it was my plane ticket, my wallet, and my passport. Everything I needed to get back home. I wondered for a few years, like, you know, where was this guy from? And my mom eventually said he was an angel. But 1 year later, in 2005, I decided to go to Koh Phangan, because initially the plan was to go to Phangan, to go to Phi Island, then with another friend, and then she changed her mind, so called another friend, and we said, let's do some place that we've never done, and that's when Sri Lanka happened. So when I decided to go to Phi Island, because the tsunami hit there, when I got there and I saw what had happened, I realized
how bad it was.
Yeah, how bad it was. And so when I came back, I told my friend I'm going to start a fund, and I emailed all my friends. I said I'm going to go back to Sri Lanka and give back to the island, because the island gave me my life. Within 2 weeks, we collected about 8,000 ringgit. So I kept 4,000 for Thailand, and I took 4,000 to Sri Lanka, and I went back on the first anniversary. I told my office, my boss, this is what I'm going to do, and I called up Sri Lankan Airlines. This is what I was going to, I told them I'm going back to the island. I said I will give you mentions on radio. They gave me a business flight seat, and I flew for free, and I got there, I did crossovers, and I saw everything that happened 1 year later. And I stayed back where it happened for me because now I had new memories over the old memories. That's also another way of me dealing with things. I don't run away from it. I go and I overwrite the memories while retaining the old memories. And then at that point, the third miracle happened 1 year later. While I had gone and bought gas cookers and stoves that was generously donated by my friends with the 4,000 ringgit. And that one afternoon I told the van driver, this 19-year-old boy, I said, let's go for lunch, and we stopped randomly at this random restaurant, beachfront, and I walked in to go to the back to wash my hands, and the chef comes out, and we cross paths, and he stops, he turns around, and he goes, ma'am. I said, yes. He said, are you from Malaysia? I said, yeah. I found your bag last year. Yeah, I burst out crying. I hugged him. Wow, it's still impactful. Yeah, so then he made me my favorite carbonara pasta, and I asked him what happened, and he told me he was the chef working at the restaurant of the chalet I was staying at, and he knew that there was these two Malaysian girls who were partying every night and would order just before the kitchen closes. So he knew about us, and when he saw what had happened, he had gone back. It took him about 2 hours to walk through the piles of bodies and debris and damage to get to his house. And he told his wife, he said, when he got home, he said his house was flooded, things were floating, his wife, his kids were fine, and the backpack was floating. And he told his wife, he said, these two Malaysian girls, poor thing, this is what happened. And the wife said, belongs to one of them. Buddha is telling me it belongs to one of them. You go now and walk back and give it back. So he walked another 2 hours, came back, found me. When I asked him, what's in the backpack, he had opened the left palm, and there was a Buddha figurine. He said, Buddha, tell my wife, it is yours.
It's crazy.
Oh, it's crazy.
Nice story.
And I still have that backpack. And I haven't gone back to Sri Lanka since 2005. But last year, and every year on the 26th, every year, initially I would do this according to the time the wave hit me. But then I realized when I'm traveling, like in Brazil, I can't wait for it. So I would just do it. I would light a candle at 9:25 a.m. of the country I'm in on 26th December as a tribute. And I'd say a little prayer for the 280,000 people that died. And for those who survived, I hope they're doing well like me. And next year, I'm going back for the 20th anniversary because my self-ban is lifted. So yeah, and I'm going to go back and stay at the same place. And I'm going to try and organize a meetup with the people I met there, It'll be nice after 20 years. Yeah, finally it feels like 3 weeks. The memories, yeah. Like if I were to just meditate, I would remember the decomposing smell of all the dead bodies that I saw. I would remember the sound, and of course, because I have visual memory, I see everything again. So it makes me strong. It doesn't traumatize me. So yeah.
After you came back, so you went directly to work, and I guess that you saw like the videos of the wave on the TV news.
Yeah.
How was that?
And I was like, wow.
Did you realize at that moment, or like what processed in you, like?
So when someone gave me a lift after the tsunami, 11-hour taxi ride to Colombo Airport, and the airport was just riddled with, people trying to leave the country, locals and foreigners. And then when I got back, when I left, I think it was 2000, the number on CNN, but by the time I got home, it was like 5 figures already, and it was like a jackpot machine. So I stopped watching the television because I also had to deal with the journalists and reporters coming to my house to get a story, and then my boss had to deal with them. And then when I got back to work, every now and then there would be a CNN update on the new figure, and I think it was an Oprah Winfrey interview where her designer Tate lost his partner in the water, and it struck a chord because it was exactly about the same thing that happened to me. And with all the documentaries and movies that come up with this tsunami, I think the one that resonates with me is the movie Impossible. The one with the family in Thailand, because the part when she was in the helicopter and she's remembering what happened in the water, mine was 10 times worse. Yeah, with all that in the water. So yeah. And you know what's really strange? I have not met another tsunami survivor yet.
Yeah, this one is crazy.
Yeah, next year I definitely
Because it
will.
was like,
I've not met another tsunami survivor yet.
it was 90 years ago.
19 years,
Yeah,
yeah.
so you can find someone.
Yeah. Next year, I mean, despite all the traveling around the world, I've not met another survivor. So it'd be quite interesting going back on the 20th anniversary and meeting
Someone.
the
who
villagers
did-
who
yeah,
survived, the people that I helped. I'm going to take back all the pictures and say, hey, have you seen this person? Have you seen this person?
Yeah.
Tell them the Malaysian is here. Yeah, you know. Yeah, so it's going to be exciting.
It's gonna be crazy to see yourself like 20 years ago and now, like the difference between.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, really nice.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of development with all the aid that came in. Good for Sri Lanka, but of course in the last 2 years they had to go through political unrest. So I guess the timing is good to go next year and help them in another way I can. Yeah.
I have like a deeper question, like since you died once, do you feel that you're more prepared to death? Are you not scared anymore of death?
If there's, yeah, well, death is probably the one thing that keeps a question mark over my head. I'm not afraid of it, but I'm afraid of how I'm going to die. Is it water, fire, accident, plane crash? I don't put anything past my life anymore. But to know that if the moment is here, I think it's just an amazing feeling that I have no regrets in life, that I don't have a list that I left behind. Everything I did, and then when I look back at the list, I'm like, whoa, you know. So yeah, no regrets. But you know, my parents, my dad is 93, my mom is 84, and in a few days is their 64th wedding anniversary. So with that longevity history, I think I'm going to be around for quite a while. Yeah.
Do you think that you survive being is like as a meaning? Do you think it's a complete hazard? Do you think that now you have a mission, that's why you survive? Do you think about it?
No.
No.
No, then you're going to spend the rest of your life trying to figure out why. I did that for about 1-2 years. After sundown, I told God, I said, okay, enough is enough. I'm not going to spend this lifetime wondering why. If there's something I need to do and something I need to experience, there's people I need to help, send me the people, send me the situation, send me to that place. You know, and then give me the wisdom to deal with it. That's what this tattoo is about. Was it here? Yeah. Wisdom, courage, and strength. I always tell God, give me the wisdom, courage, and strength to do half of what He does. The other half is my naughtiness and what I get to do. So no, I mean, I think that's what the normal people would do. But you're going to spend this entire life wondering.
Yeah, go ahead. And just,
that's a waste.
yeah.
You know, you just chuck on, just go, keep going. Yeah.
Right.
So you just like share your story, and did it happen one time that you share like your tsunami story and that it changed the people's life?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of friends, years after, they've come back and said your story still resonates with me, and the fact that I see your posts on Facebook and Instagram that you're still traveling, it gives them not hope but the braveness to overcome what is obstructing them or hindering them. So I said, you know, if you are too scared to do it, don't do it. But if you're curious about it, go and do it. What's the worst that could happen? What, you die? Okay, at least you died doing something you're happy doing. You know, so yeah, in different aspects, it's helped a lot of people. I think the way I've approached and handled it is one way. The places I keep going to, like I did my shark cage dive, I bungee jump in Costa Rica from the highest point of Central America. Of course, I'm jumping into water as well, and I'm, you know, so no, I wouldn't let anything stop me. Yeah. So many people, amputees climbing Mount Everest, how can I say I have a problem? People lost generations in that tsunami. Indonesia, Sri Lanka, Thailand. I have everything intact, not even a broken bone. How can I sit back and say, oh, I'm scared? Cannot. Yeah.
This is so inspiring.
Yeah.
Like, this is actually the last day we spent together.
Yeah.
We've been together since 10 days.
Yeah.
And I feel like every day when we were talking with you, it was like a lesson. Like,
We learned
really.
something
And what
new.
is completely crazy is that before traveling, I was telling Etienne, my biggest fear is tsunami. like really, I was, how old was I? I was 10 years old. 10 years old when this happened, and I don't know why. This is like what I saw on TV.
Yeah.
Like, it traumatized me a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
And it made me, today I've got like the fear. I'm really scared about like water, currents and everything.
Okay.
And the biggest fear of all my life is tsunami. And then I arrive in Malaysia and I meet you.
Survivor tsunami.
Like, it's impossible to meet someone who was there in Sri Lanka, but who was in the wave and survived. And now I meet you and I can discuss this with you.
Yeah,
So I think it's part of everything. Like, maybe I was here today to listen to
Yeah.
this and it will help me in my life. And
Yeah.
I think that is what you do, like, most of the time, every day. And that's
I
why
hope.
you did this place work, and you like receive workawayers to
Yeah.
share your experience.
Yes.
And so we will share it again, and people
Please
share
do.
it, and so it will like expand, and that's crazy.
Because it's the norm is to sit back and acknowledge the fear, and then you meet someone who doesn't believe in such things. I hope that changes your perception, and not just about the tsunami, generally about everything in life, because you will encounter hiccups. It is these hiccups and how you deal with it that will define you or the person you are tomorrow and 10 years time. It's called life experience. And you have to go out there and make things happen. And three kinds of people. People who wait for things to happen, people who make things happen, and people who wondered what happened. So you pick the category that you want to be. And how curious, I'm very curious. Only one more thing I want to do is go into space and see how the last thing, and see what Earth looks like, and then come back down. Not even the ISS, just, I don't have that money. I don't have any money to go up anyway. But nothing should stop you from obtaining anything you want. You don't have to steal, you don't have to beg, borrow, just work for it. And there's a destination, trust me, the planet is not big. I've done the 7 continents, max 2 flights. Maximum 2 flights, you're there. It's just how you're going to fund it, how you're going to finance it, how much you want to work, how much you're going to sacrifice. I sacrifice the normal life, marriage, kids, and I don't have to put food on the table for anyone except myself. So I sacrifice that for this life. And it's been rock and roll. It's been amazing. It's been amazing. And when I told God to send me those people, and you guys came. And I think I told you in one of our conversations, sometimes when you experience things in life and you try and wonder why it's happening to you, it's not about you. It's about the other person. That person needed to cross paths with you, and then that person takes a bit of you with them and spreads it around with other people. And you don't realize it. For you, it's just another day. It's an experience that you're sharing. You don't know the impact that you've left with other people. And you don't know the impact that you're going to leave with other people when you tell the story. And you're going to see life differently. Both of you are going to see life differently. And for that, thank you for picking Cosmic and coming here. It's a simple place. Yeah, and that destination pole? Yeah. When I saw it in Peru in 2013, 10 years ago, I said, oh wow, nice pole, and I hugged it, Never thought about it ever again until I got here, and I said, hey, put up a destination pole. I'm like, what should I put? I'm like, duh, the places that you went to. And I was like, oh yeah. And so I picked the weirdest places so that people will have to Google and find out where this place is, and then there's interaction, and hopefully it inspires you to go there.
Yeah, nice, good idea.
Yeah. See, even then I didn't dream about it, but I made it happen, So the world is really yours. The ocean, the beach, the path in front of you is yours. You carve it out. You design it. You keep the people that are important in your life. You throw away the toxic ones away. You're in control of your life. Except when the tsunami comes in. But it's never going to happen that way. So I've took one for us, so don't worry. It's not
You touched me. You told me that some people came to touch you.
Yeah. Like a few months after the tsunami, like in church, people would come say, "Oh, give me your luck," and you know, the Thai people when they shake hands, "Oh, give me your luck." I mean, take whatever you want. You know, I don't believe in it, but if it can help, you know,
just take it.
Yeah.
You have such an inspiring life and like a strong personality, and you have so much to give. It's amazing. So thank you for sharing everything.
You're most welcome.
With us.
Life is about giving, but don't forget, once in a while you need to know how to receive. I went through another hiccup in 2017 when, you know, there's now money scams happening in the world. I lost all my savings, and it was the Chinese Macau scam. And I asked God, I said, what did I do wrong? I did everything right. Why is this happening to me? And one day I heard this whisper that said, you don't know how to receive. And I was like, what? You give, you pay for meals, you do this, you do that, you pay for friends, you pay for strangers, you don't know how to receive. When someone wants to give you a gift or a present, you don't know how to receive. And I was like, it was an awakening moment. Today someone says, I'll buy you lunch. I'm like, yeah, sure. Hey, here's a present, thank you. Because I realized after giving and losing everything, I have nothing to give. But in order to give, I have to receive. What a lesson I learned. You know, that was sitting at home with the candle and meditating, and it's like light bulb moment, like thing, and I was like, didn't have to cost me like 80,000 ringgit, but you know, lesson learned. And it was 2018, and I didn't travel for that whole year, saved my money. In 2019, I clocked in the seventh continent and bought a second-hand car. Yeah, so everything is possible if you put your mind to it, you know. There's so many things I want to do. It's just like a fleeting thought, but we'll see. I don't want to think too much about it because I love the unknown. If I decide to go, it's like what I'm going to do in January, you know, go up to the pole. I never thought about doing that last year or anytime in the last 4 years. But suddenly I was like, so what's crazy to do? Oh yeah, let's go to the North Pole. Okay, let's go.
Let's see Santa Claus.
Yeah, let's see Santa Claus again. Because I saw that in Alaska. But I think this time what I'm chasing for, in Antarctic I had the midnight sun, which was 24 hours daylight. And so I think something different now is the polar nights, to go somewhere and experience a 24-hour night, or 24-hour darkness, 24 hours of the aurora, looking at polar bears. Yeah, so this is what I mean. Extremes. You are in the position to design these extremes in your life. Yeah.
Nice.
Yes, I think we are done.
Yeah, it's okay. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to give you guys a hug.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you for this opportunity.
It was so good to see you.
Thank you for sending that email, my dear. Thank you for saying yes.
I hope I see you in the space.
You will see me. You'll see me before that in my apartment.
Yeah.
Yes, and then in the space.
Yeah.
Oh.
But yeah.
What an experience. Wow, crazy.
Yeah. Life goes on, huh?
Yeah.
That's the cruel thing about time. There's not stop for you. It just keeps tick-tocking. That's what TikTok came about. Yeah, just tick-tock. But you have to keep up or catch up. In everything, in every aspect of life. And you have that choice.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, let's have a cheese naan.
Yes, it's time for cheese now.